In 1963, aged 16, I was obliged to leave the posh Cambridge school I'd attended since I was 7. 2 years at the CCAT or Technical College followed until I dropped out finally and irrevocably in 1965. In 1967, after stays in Oxford, Weymouth and Bournemouth, I ended up in London. By the time I returned to Cambridge in 1971, the 60s atmosphere was over, with the old centre being demolished and a hard drug culture spreading over the city. According to the national media, the only popular culture to originate in Cambridge was the middle-class pop band Pink Floyd. Alongside this, a small exclusive group of former students and public school boys claim even now to have been the sole innovators of alternative culture in the city since the early 1960s. The output of the town, rather than Gown, was dismissed as one or two teddy boy rock bands. I believe that these views were through the jaded eyes of the university, which began to lose its cultural dominance at the turn of the decade. Leaving the Corn Exchange, the Guildhall and the Market Square, Warren Assange's walking tour moves on to the Criterion pub, or what is left of it, now being a coffee bar. There are many stories about the Criterion, from the fights that broke out with American servicemen to the swearing parrot in the front bar. My main memory from the few times I was actually sober enough to be allowed in was being stared at closely by one of the in crowd. When I stared back into his eyes even more intently, his posh girlfriend said, "Don't do that, he's an artist." No need to swoon, it wasn't Sid Barrett. I knew what he looked like, with his paint-flecked jeans and Wellington boots, dripping away from the giggling girls in the tech common room. This artist would probably have been one of the self-acclaimed Cambridge elite who more than 40 years later claimed to have been his best friend. He was probably taking a night off from attending incomprehensible beat poetry sessions above the Horse and Groom in King Street, now known as the King Street Run.
want to see the morning light covered in your face, so dreamily. To go and say goodbye, loving all that matters, won't you stay with me? Don't you lay down, lay down, shining, don't need to be sitting down. I'm trying all night long to talk to you. Lay down, shining, don't need to be so soon. I've been trying all night long to talk to you. Come on! Lay down, shining, there's no rest in my arms. I'm thinking once I want to talk to you. Lay down, shining, don't need to be so soon. I've been trying all night long to talk to you.
The Dorothy in Hobson Street was a traditional music and dance venue. In the 1960s, with its 3 floors, it was host to many national performers, including The Who and Jimi Hendrix. It is now a bookshop. Further along at the end of Hobson Street, in its current location, there's Miller's Music Shop. In 1962, Miller's was still in Sydney Street. I bought my first album there. It was by Charlie Parker. The next one I bought was by Eric Dolphy, this time from a record shop in the basement of Peake's Furnishers in King Street. King Street is famous for the drunken antics of King Street runners. The run consisted of a pint in each of 8 pubs. Having done the King Street run twice in one night, I was arrested for lying drunk in a shop doorway swearing like a parrot. Fined £6. It must have been something I learned from the parrot in the front bar of the Criterion.
Running up and down with Charlie Brown.